Queen Marchesa versus Kruphix God of Horizons. Not keeping that one. Well, we've got some hand disruption and a Sol Ring at least. Can we get ourselves up to Elspeth really quickly with that? Hopefully. Let's risk getting rid of the Wasteland. We want as much coloured mana as possible, and we've got access to all of our colours here. What have we got there already? A Wasteland target. You can pay 2 life to add 2, but you can only cast legendary spells with that. We will go in for our Swamp and a Sol Ring. Don't want to play the Urborg just yet because that will mean that this can tap for mana. And it will tap for mana that can be played on something other than legendary spells. Fingers crossed we don't see Azusa. In this case, in fact, the only thing we can do here is go for Transgress the Mind, so let's play that. We have to choose something with CMC 3 or less, so the only thing we can go for there is Sai, Master Thopterist, which would come down. Our opponent could have played that last turn. If they'd gone for the island instead of the forest. Maybe I'm missing something. We'll go for a Boros land and pass straight over to our opponent. We've got double white now, so we can slowly make our way up to that Elspeth Sun's Champion. But I think we're going in for our commander next turn. Now this is the reason that I always play with lands that have the same artwork. One, because it's aesthetically pleasing, but it's also more difficult for your opponents to keep track of which land you're playing. So I know that our opponent definitely has 2 islands in play here. Let's jump in with our commander, I think. That is a fairly safe choice. And then I don't think it's likely that Simic is going to play a haste creature, so we'll swing in with our commander. And then draw at the end of the turn, we get into more mana. We're not going to struggle on mana this game. In fact, we're online for our Elspeth Sun's Champion next turn. And our opponent is getting down their Kruphix. No, they're not. They're going for Alhamrit's Archive. That is a legendary. So that's one of the cards they've drawn into. Over the past few turns, we will go for Dragonskull Summit, get ourselves some double black. And then we'll see if our opponent wants to scoop to an Elspeth Sun's Champion. Plus that up. And then swing in with our Queen Marchesa. Another piece of mana for us. Our opponent might be able to do something about our board state if we don't draw into anything other than mana. What's this they've got in hand? When it enters, return each creature your opponents control with toughness X or less, where X is the number of islands you control. They've gotten down their Gonti's Aetherheart, which we knew they had in hand. That is that land which is there, yes. And we know about that one as well, so just the Scourge of Fleets. Oblivion Ring seems good. Let's plus the Elspeth. We'll get down the O-Ring on that Alhamrit's Archive. Actually, I don't know what this does. Get rid of the Alhamrit's Archive. Not too worried about Gonti's Aetherheart. They do need to play a lot of artifacts, and they've only got 3 cards left in hand. We'll get down a tap land and swing in with our army of creatures. Then drawing into a Lightning Helix, which we can cast during our opponent's turn, so let's see if they've got anything for us to bolt. Ooh, Prophet of Kruphix. That is worth a Lightning Helix every day of the week. It has just the right amount of toughness. So let's definitely get rid of that. Our opponent was going for the value of the Prophet of Kruphix into Scourge of Fleets there. Although no, this isn't legendary, is it? I had it in my head that that's legendary. I'm sure they would have cast that way sooner if they could. Just a quick one there, so I think we're going to get on with another Queen Marchesa game. Queen Marchesa versus the Gitrog Monster, a couple of favourites of the channel. We've got removal in hand, which isn't all that difficult to draw into in this deck, but we've got a couple of lands as well. We are on the play, so let's get some tap lands underway. Our opponent getting into a fetch land. That's always good to have one of those with Gitrog, because you want to play cards out of the graveyard with Crucible and Raminap, cards like that. So having a fetch is really good. We're just holding on to Vamp Tutor here, I think. Might just have to go for a land, unfortunately. Our opponent's gotten down a Shockland and a Peat Bog. Remove a depletion counter to add 2 blacks, so they're rushing up to their commander by the looks of it. Let's crack our Flooded Strand, and then we'll grab a land off of the Vampiric Tutor. And then double black and double white sounds like a good idea. So we'll grab ourselves... I think we can get away with just going for a Godless Shrine, which is under G, which is there. So let's just, we can hold up a lot of removal in hand, so let's play that in tapped and pass the turn. We've already gone down by 4 life just setting ourselves up with lands, so I don't want to take any more damage than we need to. And we're still really hoping for a land next turn. Alright, an Urborg helps us out on black mana. And there is Necropotence. That is something that we do not have removal for. Now let's see how many cards they go for with Necropotence. Okay, looks like they are stopping at 7, so maybe they don't like any of the cards that are in their hand and they just want a fresh grip. They are going to have to exile some stuff here. They get rid of a Wayfarer's Bauble. I wonder what they're holding on to if they decided not to play Wayfarer's Bauble. They might have a Vampiric Tutor of their own. Getting rid of Cabal Pit and Sylvan Scrying. Culling the Weak, that's a combo piece. Rift Sweeper. This deck looks completely different than our Gitrog version. And a Twilight Mire is going in the bin as well. And all of these are going to be exiled. Okay, well, there's a tear. That is some removal for our opponent's stuff. We're going to allow our opponent to draw a card if we do it now. This does have our opponent skip their draw step. And they can pay life into it in response to a tear no matter when we do it, so we might as well keep them off of a card draw. And there is that Vamp Tutor. So we definitely don't want our opponent to draw into whatever it is that they're going for with the Vampiric Tutor. So we'll go through to their main phase. And they need to put at least 1 life in if they want to draw into what they tutored for. But they'll be able to do that in response to a tear anyway. Then they go for Command Tower, get rid of their Peat Bog. And down comes the Gitrog Monster. We can despark that, or we can go for Path to Exile. I think we go for a despark on that, because our opponent's down to 3 lands. They can play an additional land when Gitrog comes down, but who knows if they actually got into a land or not. Well, there's a forest. And then going for Necropotence again. And they're going to go heavy on Necropotence. Now let's see if we can make our opponent panic and go for even more off of Necropotence. Let's go for Tear onto that. They still get the cards at the end of the turn, and this will switch on their draw step again. Then we will go in for the Despark as well. And now it's fingers crossed that we manage to get into a land. Let's see what our opponent discards first. They're not going to get exiled this time at least. Alright, that's as good as a land. Get into Mana Crypt. Our opponent discarded Gaia's Herald, Journey to Eternity, Tainted Wood, a Deathrite Shaman, Wall of Roots, an Arbor Elf, and Diabolic Intent. Let's get our commander into play. I don't think we have to worry about haste on anything, so I think we just start dealing damage to our opponent here, especially with them being at such a low life total. We become the Monarch, and we're going to swing in at our opponent here. Couple of swings with Queen Marchesa and a Lightning Helix should pretty much guarantee us the game. We can go for Elspeth Sun's Champion next turn if we get into a land. Hero of Bladehold is a good way to pile damage onto your opponent. They go for Nature's Claim onto our Mana Crypt. So it's a good job we didn't mess around getting our commander down. Then going for a Dark Ritual. Looks like they can get their commander down again if they want. Then going for a Golgari Rot Farm. We need to remember how much our opponent's commander is going to be to cast. I think they could have played another land that turn, couldn't they? I can't remember. I can't remember how many lands they actually had previously to that. So the Gitrog just cost our opponent 7. If we get rid of it, it'll cost 9, but they'll have access to, go away, Final Cut. They'll have access to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 off of Path to Exile. They won't be able to play an additional land because Gitrog won't be in play. So I think we go in for a Path here. And then I think we will go in for Sol Ring with Enlightened Tutor. Inquisition might be good. If we just get one more hit in with our commander, then we can go for Lightning Helix for the win next turn. But just to play it safe, we'll go in for Enlightened Tutor for a Sol Ring, and then we can get our Hero of Bladehold down. Maybe even Arena Rector. Our opponent is 1 mana shy of their commander. They've got 5 cards in hand. Might be worth going for the Inquisition, actually. Alright, let's see if we can actually draw a land this time. We're doing quite well considering... yeah, we are not doing too well here. Oh, and I even forgot to go for the Tutor. Let's see if we can land a hit on our opponent. They go for removal in Dark Blast. That's -1/-1. So that's not specifically removal unless they've got some other minus effects. Okay, they go down to 2. Just out of curiosity, we will go for... Our opponent's got quite a low curve by the looks of it, so we'll go for Inquisition. And we'll have a look and see what cards they've got in hand. Alright, let's see what they are aiming for. They've got Evolving Wilds. Oh, that gets them out of tap land, actually. And they've got Noxious Revival, which they can get a land out of the bin with that and not put life into it. Naturalize, and Volrath's Dungeon, which is pay life, they can't do. Discard a card, target player puts card from hand on top of library. Yeah, whatever, we'll just get rid of Noxious Revival, doesn't matter. And then we burn our opponent. So getting aggressive with Necropotence. Oh, and they didn't take the burn, that's not nice. Yeah, going so aggressively with Necropotence isn't something I typically do. I'm a bit more reserved, in fact a lot more reserved than that with Necropotence. I only play it in 1 versus 1 typically, and I tend to just keep a full grip with it so that I've always got 7 cards in hand. I don't ever normally go crazy with Necropotence and draw like 20 cards in 1 hit, and the outcome of this match is the exact reason why I don't normally do what our opponent did here. So a few quick ones all stitched together for you there. I hope you all enjoyed a revisit to Queen Marchesa, one of my favourite commanders. Few people have asked that, and Queen Marchesa is definitely one of my favourites. So like I said, hopefully you all enjoyed that. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.